It's time for a shift. This is the shift. Big change, big things in the phase. Yeah. Big change, big things in the phase. Yeah.
Okay, we're back at it again. This is The Shift. My name is Kobby King, and I bring this to you each and every week. You can get it on the Bond Media on YouTube, or you can follow my personal social media handles and catch all the exclusives of The Shift. Today, I have two beautiful sisters from the diaspora, and I've been paying attention and following their works. They are doing exceptionally fine, brilliant ideas they are bringing on board to bring the change or to cause the shift in the lives of the many people that are out there, not only in the US, but in Africa as well. So I'll let them, I'll start from Dr. Beverly. I would like you to introduce yourselves to everyone, what you do, who you are, basically, and then you give us a little bit of your background history, how you grew up, where you were born, where you're from, and your family. So let's get it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kobby, for having us on the show. My name is Beverly Booker Ammah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Pan-Africanist. And so I, believe in, my role in helping to liberate our people globally. And so when you ask, what do I do? Right now, I work as the executive director of a nonprofit called 3GC, which
Okay.
stands for Give, Gain, Grow Ghana. And so our mission is to engage college students and high school students to travel to Africa to do service learning, experiential learning, and connect to our culture and our heritage in Africa. And so, being a Pan Africanist, I also, through my career, have been a high school history teacher, a counselor, and most recently, faculty at different universities, and most recently, Hampton University as an associate professor in counseling. So
Wow.
that's what I do.
Beautiful, beautiful. Sister Amina, let's hear you.
Hi, Kobe. Thanks so much for having us on the show. I appreciate it. So my name is Amina Rashid Jackson, and I really actually never thought of myself as a Pan-Africanist, but as Beverly described it, I think I probably am. My experiences in Africa started early on in my life, and I just have felt always being drawn there, always felt a connection to the continent.
Mm.
So I am by training a registered nurse, and I'm currently working at Howard University Hospital.
That's beautiful.
And my role, sorry, one more thing, my role with 3GC is I'm program director for their maternal health project that we're currently working on to bring allied health students over to Ghana this summer
Okay.
or this spring.
That's awesome. So we'll get into that, but let's start from the genesis, right? I'll start from Sister Amina this time. Where were you born, and how was your family setup like when you were a child? How was it like?
Well, I was born in Ohio, but
Mhm.
we didn't spend much time there, and so we soon after I was born, I think I was probably less than a year. We moved to the Washington D.C. area, and I've pretty much grown up here in the D.C. area. I am back here now, and I think my family upbringing. I mean, it felt pretty benign. We're pretty normal. My dad teaches at Howard University, and my mom is a psychotherapist, and
Okay.
they have always had like a connection to Africa as well. So when I was in high school, I believe, my dad did a sabbatical and we went over to Africa and lived for a year. And so I
Right.
think that was probably when I got my first bite of the travel bug and the desire to go to the continent. And so then through other travels and other experiences, it just kind of took off.
So, I mean, when your dad brought up the idea that, okay, we're about to move to Africa, and yeah, we'll be living there for some time because I picked up this job and I want to move the family there. How did you feel? Were you
I,
excited?
I wasn't too happy about it. I was 15, so I wasn't too happy about it at the time, because I had to leave my friends and leave, you know, my life as I knew it here. Um, but it turned out in the end to be one of the most amazing experiences in my life.
Mm.
And the friendships that I made when we were there, I actually still have many of them to this day.
Wow.
So it turned out to be a really, really great experience. But initially, no, I was not happy about it.
So when in Africa, which country did you move to?
We were in Sudan.
Sudan.
Yeah.
Wow. That is deep Africa, I'll say.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, 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 wow. That's awesome. So back to Sister Beverly. How was it like?
So I'm from Philadelphia. I was born and raised in Philadelphia.
Philly
Um,
house.
yeah, West Philadelphia, born and raised.
Mhm.
And so Philadelphia is an interesting city. Actually, was talking with a colleague for a presentation, and she actually does research on Philadelphia and the presence of the African community. And so, growing up in Philadelphia in the 70s and 80s, I would say I always had a very strength based outlook on Africa. My parents, my grandparents, my whole extended family, from the time I was little, provided books, for kids around, Africa. And so, I always knew about Africa and I knew our connection to it as a diasporan. And certainly in our communities, we had, different festivals and things related to, our heritage. And so, I grew up and, later went to Hampton University and I was a history major, which also connected or further cemented my passion about Africa and that connectedness. And so I always knew I wanted to go to Africa, but unlike Sister Amina, who got to go when she was 15, which is so awesome.
Pleasantly.
Yeah, that's just amazing. And I always knew that I wanted to go, but I didn't necessarily know how.
Mm,
I think a bit different from the students now that we work with. There were some programs, but they weren't as many
mm,
study abroad opportunities. And so I can't say that, through high school and college that I knew about a lot of opportunities. So I actually, unlike the students that we serve, didn't go to Ghana and other parts of Africa until my early 30s.
mm.
And, but doing that, I would say, like Amina, my life was changed. It was probably setting foot on the continent was probably one of my most transformative experiences. And so it just cemented that, oh, I could live here.
Right.
I knew that one day I could live here. So that's been my journey. My first trip to Africa was actually about 2010. So it's been recent. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So at what point did you decide that I have to go? Like, what triggered it? Were you just there and you got up one day and you were like, "Let me pack up my bags. I'm going to Africa today. Next week. Nobody can stop me. I'm
Mhm.
just doing it." What brought about that courage?
Sure. I think it was opportunity. So I was a faculty member at San Diego State
Mm-hmm.
University in California, and I'm a mentor. Dr. Shirley Weber, she was the chair of African Studies at San Diego State, and she had been doing study abroad for students and community members for probably 25 years of her career. As I said, she was an elder. And so I was teaching in the College of Education along with other faculty, and their department extended an invitation to have us as faculty in the College of Ed take students from our, departments. And like I said, I always knew I wanted to go. The opportunity just had never really presented itself. So when she invited us, it was actually to South Africa for alternative spring break. And then, like you said, I was like, I'm going. I just had never gotten the invitation to go. I never directly knew somebody that was taking people to Africa. So, I will forever say Dr. Weber was a blessing in my life because she gave me that first opportunity. And I actually traveled with her with students several times to different parts. And she also did a trip to Egypt. So I had been to several countries in Africa before I actually got to West Africa, to Ghana in 2012. And so, to your question, how did you know what cemented? So, when I went to South Africa, I imagined that, oh, I could live in Africa, maybe when I retire or something. Now, when I went to West Africa, something clicked. It was just different. And I knew that's where we were from. I mean, like, knowing history, the African Holocaust, and that research shows that most of diasporans came from West Africa, but it was something about setting your foot on the ground, and hearing the people and seeing them that cemented that, yes, this is where we're from. this, this is where we're from.
Awesome, and you are not the first person saying this. I've always asked that question. What is it that happened when you touched foot first time on the West African soil, and nobody has been able to actually give me a concrete answer on that? It's just a feeling that is unexplainable, and I believe that, and I think that uh, reincarnation, I'll say it again, is real, and because your spirit is in conformity with the land. As soon as you get here, it feels like you've been here before, and it feels like home. Yes. Okay, so Sister Amina, after reluctantly coming to Africa at the age of 15, what made you finally decide to come back on your own? At what point in time in your life did you decide to just visit on your own by yourself without your father pulling you to it?
So it's funny that you asked that question, because when you were talking about, there is a big difference between the other parts of Africa and coming to West Africa. And so for me, my work is in maternal health, and specifically Black maternal health. And I can't really remember exactly what it was, but there was something inside of me that said, this is where we're from. And if you go back to this place, you'll be able to get something from there that we're missing here. I think it was a dream or something that I had. And so I had this vision in my head that I needed to go to West Africa to get maternal health, or I needed to get information, and I needed to get knowledge based in maternal health, in the maternity area that I was working in with women, specifically Black women.
Right.
Um, and so I started researching on my own, kind of which country would be best for me to kind of connect to, for religious reasons, for language reasons, for proximity, ease of travel. And that's how I ended up with Ghana, because of it's a very easy country to travel to. The language is there. It's very easy for me to maneuver by myself. And so I had an idea to take birth workers from the United States, Black birth workers, over to Ghana to work with birth workers in Ghana, and do kind of like some type of exchange where we could take the knowledge that they have there and bring them more kind of the resources, because we have a lot of stuff and we have access to a lot of stuff, but we are missing a very fundamental piece of connection that mothers experience in their pregnancies and their birth experiences over there. And so that's kind of how my journey to West Africa began. And I just started kind of talking to different nonprofit organizations that were already working there, and just started kind of making connections to make that trip. And so then when I made the trip, similar to what Beverly was saying, it just felt like home. It just felt like, and literally, I think I was coming shortly before the year of return. And so when I came, they were like, welcome home. I was like, welcome home. Oh my goodness. So that helped a lot too. And the people were just so warm and welcoming. And it literally felt like I had come home. And
Right.
it's a very inexplainable feeling unless you've actually gone through it. So other people that I've spoken to that have come to Ghana, we can share that experience. But if you haven't experienced it, it's kind of hard to explain that just feeling
Right.
of connection kind of in your spirit. So that's how I ended up back in Ghana.
So
Yeah.
you're a maternal health expert, right?
Yes.
What do you think about the traditional ways of uh, uh, the maternal field, considering the traditional ways of it? Because most people have actually abandoned the old ways and they are all switching to the Western ways of going about it. What do you think? Do you think it's not necessary, or is Bush, or do you think that we should actually look into it further and bring it back in a more refined way that you know meets standards of today?
I definitely think that there's a lot to be gained from the ways of old. And I think that we can learn and we can bring back old traditional ways of birth, of pregnancy, and we can incorporate it with the knowledge that we have now so that to create an even better, more enhanced childbirth and pregnancy experience for women. Because I think just throwing away everything that's from the past is definitely not the answer, but we still have very high maternal mortality rates both here in the United States and in Africa. So
Mhm.
I think we'd be remiss to just say, okay, let's, don't pay attention to anything modern, anything, any type of medicinal, any type of Western medicine on the issue. But I think that there's a way that we can incorporate the two to create an even better birth experience and hopefully improve the birth and maternal health outcomes.
So, Dr. Dr. Beverly is back. Dr.
That
Beverly.
is fine.
Dr. Beverly. Just so you know, um, what is it that you see in Africa or in Ghana? What is that feel? What is that thing, that spice that actually makes you feel at home or makes you feel safer than America?
I almost felt like dancing just now when you asked me that. I felt so excited. I see myself.
Mm,
I when you're in Africa as a person of African descent that lives in America, I think the difference is that you're able to see the essence of yourself for who you are,
mm,
and free of people, putting their opinions on you based on race. And you're able to just be the epitome of who you are. And I think that is liberating in a
mm,
way that most people that are of African descent, that have grown up in America and Europe, frankly, have not had. And so I think it's a refreshing feeling. I think it's a freeing feeling. And I also think it's a peaceful feeling.
mm, mm,
And so I just, at this point in my life, when I went to West Africa, I really felt like, and I literally said, oh, I can move here now.
mm,
Because I think after living in the United States, for a period, um, it gets to be, or I'll say my story is I feel like the ancestors are saying, you still will do Pan African work,
mm.
but we're ready to change your position of where you do it.
Wow.
And so you will do it differently.
Mm,
And so, that's how I feel. And also, one of the things you said, people are never able to tell you exactly what is the thing
right, right.
when you come to West Africa. And I just wanted to add that some of the things are, people coming up and telling you literally, you look like my cousin, or you look like my niece, and I think that's it,
Who
it,
do I
it
look like?
connects you to, huh?
Who do I look like?
Oh, you look like one of my cousins. For
Oh,
real.
okay. Is it
But
very peanut?
no. Oh gosh. And I think, the food, you find that there's such a connection.
Mm.
with the food. When you think about Southern cooking and, cooking of our, you know, heritage, you find that things are parallel. The way we talk and the way we emote. I have a good friend, Dr. MC Clark, and she's from Tanzania. She teaches at Howard. And
Okay.
when she speaks to our students about Pan-Africanism, she talks about Nyere and Nkrumah and some of the differences. And one of the things that she always tells the class is, when you go to West Africa, you find that you can't be from anywhere else in Africa. Because she gave an example of just the way we're loud in a good way, the way we laugh, the way we joke. It's so similar to how Ghanaians and other West Africans interact with each other in relationships, and the playing and the having fun. It's just so many of those similarities where you're just like, this is where I'm from, and for a lot of diasporans that get to go, you're starting to see this movement that brings back the Marcus Garvey movement and other movements to go back and to build. Yeah.
Wow, 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 wow. So, Sister Amina, let me come to you. People think that Africa is unsafe as compared to America. There are a whole lot of people in the U.S. thinking that no, we're not going. There are lions on the streets. There are monkeys, and the giraffes will steal your food from your plate, and all kinds of stuff. They say it, you know. Um, do you think America is safer than Africa or Ghana?
That has not been my experience.
Hmm.
Um, I've been to Ghana quite a few times now, and I've never seen any animals like that in the streets.
Mm.
Um, and to the contrary, I feel extremely, extremely safe when I'm in Ghana. Probably more safe than I do when I'm here in the States. I think I remember it was one of my first visits there. There was a car accident or somebody got pulled over, but there were police involved. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking, the tour guide that was with me, I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Like, and like Dr. Beverly was talking about, our intonations, we get very loud and very boisterous, and as do people in Ghana. And so the person who was involved with whatever was happening was yelling at this police officer. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is not going to be good. Like, what's going to happen here? This is really bad. And the tour guide, he was like, no, no, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. And sure enough, nothing happened.
Nothing
And
else.
I remember thinking to myself, if this situation had occurred in pretty much any place in the United States and the dynamic was the exact same, there would probably be lives lost.
Mm.
And so, and I'm raising young African American men myself. And so
Mm.
the kind of conversations that we have to have surrounding your interaction with the police, those kind of things create an inherent unsafe feeling as
Mm.
you move
Mm.
through your own spaces in this country. And that's a feeling that I have never ever once felt in Ghana. Now, I mean, it's still a big city. You're going to have pickpocketers, you're going to have,
Yeah,
petty
I mean,
stuff happening, but
everywhere.
it's nothing compared to the level of caution you have to move with when you're here in the States.
Okay. So, you spoke about raising kids, right? Would you consider raising your kids in Africa, in Ghana? Do
I
you think
would.
it's better than raising them in the U.S.?
Um,
Let's say if economically you have the means.
yeah, then for sure, for sure. So my only hesitation is really only because we still have our families here. And
Mm.
so my question is, then I'm gonna have to like take my whole entire family. I gotta bring my brother and my sister, because that was a huge gap that I had when
Mm.
I left the
Right.
country as a young person. And
Right.
so I still have, I think for the kids to come over and live there for a time is phenomenal and is completely like the most invaluable experience you can give your kids, to bring them over to Africa early so that they can start to feel that connection and start to feel that there's almost like a different kind of identity. You start to look at yourself different.
Right.
It's similar to what we experience going to HBCUs here, because everything in the United States is connected to your race. Everything. It doesn't matter where you go, if you're in any kind of environment, it's connected to your race and being Black or not. Now, when you go into an HBCU experience, you are one Black person of a sea of many, many Black people. So it's a little less of an issue, but you still feel it. Now, when you contrast that to going to Africa, going to the continent, and specifically in Ghana, being Black's not even like a thing that people think about. We think about it because it's part of our existence.
Right.
But over there, it's just who you are. It's what are you doing with your life? What are you, experiencing? What kind of things do you like? You're looked at as a person. And so to be able to recreate that identity for children early in life is completely invaluable. But I think that Africa, Ghana specifically, and probably many, many other countries are very connected to their families. And so my only hesitation would be, where do we fit in that connection if you don't have your family there with you? So
That's all. Um, Sister Beverly,
Yes.
I see your name, Beverly Buka Ammah.
Uh-huh.
And the last name Ammah sounds familiar. It sounds like a Ghana name, if I'm not mistaken. And it's beautiful. I like it like that. Um, I've had conversations with other sisters about relationships with men from the continent. Um, some sisters put it out there, they put it in a context like men from the continent are not able to love properly or communicate. They brought up a lot of issues. I want to know that I'm presuming that your husband must be from Ghana, if I'm not mistaken. How has it been like?
So, yes, my husband is a son of Ghana, like you.
Got it right.
Yes, you got it right. And he is a Ga. His parents are Ga and Fanti, actually. And so this January we'll be celebrating 7 years of marriage. Now it's interesting when you say what different women talk about African men, and sometimes making the distinction about men in the diaspora that are of African descent. No matter what the label, whether person say Black men or African American men, and make that comparison. And I think a lot of one's viewpoint is what your experience is from childhood. Amina and I have become fast friends and sisters. And so I actually met Sister Amina through her dad. I worked with her dad at Howard University, and a phenomenal person, an advocate. And so my point is saying, and this is not to generalize or anything, I'm just speaking of my story, in that a lot of times it goes to your roots. And so in my experience, I've always been surrounded by strong Black men, and most are African American. My dad is African American. And so as you say that, one of the funny things, I got married later. I don't mind sharing that. I was about 37, 38. And one of the interesting things is that I married somebody just like my father. And so one would say, how did you do that? And so I always find it amazing from God and ancestors that I would meet somebody who has the positive characteristics, the demeanor, the work ethic, and the loving spirit, to which your question was, just like my father. My parents have been married 48 years. And so I think that we have to sometimes, as a collective people, try to not use some of the stereotypes that are put upon us, and really get to know the person and the culture of a person, because you find that we have so many similarities. I find in my own family that our value system is very similar to what my husband's family's value system
Right.
was.
Right.
With the collectiveness, helping each other as a family, valuing the extended family. And so it was a good blend. Sometimes jokingly, my aunts tell me, we like me more than we like you now. So,
Right.
we have really blended. And, I travel a lot to Ghana. My husband works in corporate America, and so he doesn't travel as much. And so I a lot of times see our Ghana side of the family more than he does at this point, because we also live in the DC metro area. And they take care of me. I do feel like my mother-in-law, who has since transitioned, taught me how to love her son. And I don't think that's necessarily any different from if I had met a Black man in America. I think it's about you blending families, and everybody's experience is different. But I don't think that I would put that kind of stereotype on men in Ghana, because I have over the years gotten to meet a lot of men in Ghana in terms of friends, in terms of Pan-African work. And I see that they love their children, they love their wives. And so I tend to try to not to put those kind of stereotypes, but I know some people have different experiences.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. I mean, I love what I heard, because sometimes we just categorize a certain kind of people and put them in one box, and you have to investigate and find out what you're really into, and especially you mentioned culture and family values, very important.
Right.
I think that's one thing that most people miss, but yeah, we'll get there. We'll figure it out.
Okay, we'll get there.
Anyway, let's get to business. So I saw 3GC.
Okay.
3GC. I'm like, what is 3GC? Tell me about 3GC.
Okay. So 3GC is a 501c nonprofit who, really our mission is to engage students of color, especially those of African descent, to travel to Africa, to do service learning, as I said, and experiential learning, and to connect to our rich and cultural strength-based heritage.
Okay.
So one finds that, especially in America, that students that are in K to 12, but also university students, it is said that study abroad helps to advance their global development skills, right? Their
Right.
leadership skills. Yet there's such a huge gap out of all the college students in America that travel to do study abroad experiences. Less than 6% are of African descent. So
Right.
that's a big gap. And less than 28% are persons of color, period.
Mm.
And then when you look at study abroad on the continent of Africa, out of all programs, less than 5% go to Africa. So there's really a gap. So 3GC, along with other groups, organizations, looks at itself as an advocacy group to address this gap, because it's so empowering, even like I said, from a personal experience, but also we know from research that it makes a difference when students get to travel to Africa and do study abroad. And so we really work hard to try to take as many students as we can. In fact, we're having 5 trips to Ghana and Tanzania this spring and summer.
Wow. How many? 5?
5.
Whoa.
Gotta set 5.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, spring, summer, and then also a summer to Tanzania for the first time. This is the first time we'll be taking students to East Africa.
Mm, mm,
We've always focused on Ghana because we wanted to really create sustainable partnerships with communities in Ghana. And so we do have a broad set of community partners, and we have an expansive team, board of directors, our executive team, to which Sister Amina is the director of maternal health. And so, we all work together to try to do this Pan-African work.
So 3GC. What is this? What's the abbreviation?
Sure.
3GC.
It stands for Give, Gain, Grow, Collaborative. So our motto is give freely, gain daily, and grow consciously. And so the C is for collaborative, because it's really about building coalitions together toward liberation. And so, we look for students to get to practice the skills that they're studying, whether they're an engineering student or whether they're a nursing student, whether they're a computer science student, a teacher, and be able to travel to Ghana and put theory to practice. So a lot of times they do workshops and activities in different communities, whether it's schools or hospitals, but they also interact with Ghanaian university students, their peers, also diasporans, Ghanaian leaders like you, to learn about how do you create partnerships in Ghana? How do you build the bridge? We're actually having an event tomorrow with a wonderful Pan-Africanist, Diallo Sumbri. And so the theme is youth's role in building the bridge together from the diaspora in Africa. And so that's what we try to be about consistently.
Wow, that's awesome. Sister Amina, so with the maternal health aspect of the whole thing, what is the input?
So our project this year, we're doing a project with Howard University and their allied health students. So we are looking to take approximately 8 to 10 students
Mhm,
with faculty advisors
mhm,
over to Ghana, and we will travel to 3 different hospital settings in the country.
mm,
And we will take a variety of students. So, like I mentioned, I'm a nurse, but we would like to see kind of an allied health collective. So, we'll take nursing students, physical therapy, occupational therapy, dental students, social work students, and I think medical students also,
right.
so that they can really kind of experience firsthand how healthcare is working in 3 different regions in Ghana. And just to kind of like Beverly was saying, just to have an opportunity to figure out how to make those connections and how what we're doing in the States connects with what's happening in Ghana, and how we can bridge those gaps and create that bridge so that maybe people from Ghana want to come to the States, or we want to come to Ghana and figure out kind of how we can enhance the quality of maternal health care, both for diasporians and for Ghanaian women.
This is a very great initiative, and I would like to actually use the shift as a platform, not only the shift, but the whole Bond network to actually push this initiative. You're doing a good job. The shift, the Bond is on it with you throughout the journey. Just fit us in, and we will do what is necessary to help this movement grow.
We appreciate the support.
So I want you to put out some of the initiatives, looking further into the 3GC concept. What are some of the things ahead that you are looking at? Yeah.
Sure. So one of the things that we work on is career counseling,
Mhm.
and mental health counseling.
Mhm.
That's my discipline, my training,
Right.
as a professional counselor. So a lot of times over the years, over the last 10 years, when we've been bringing students, we have a lot of counseling students that come. And so we always in schools do career counseling. That's an area need in Ghana. We've worked a little with people that are connected to the ministry and the university. And I also was a Fulbright scholar. So I got to teach in Ghana for a year and live in Ghana in 2015, 2016. So, I know that that is a need area. So actually this spring, we are doing a specialized program like Ameenah's program for maternal health on career counseling and mental health wellness with Hampton University students. So they'll be coming in the spring and we'll be working with the University of Ghana and their psychology department and local schools to do that. We have a computer initiative. One of our executive team members, Andre Campbell, he is the director of technology for 3GC, but he also works for Google in the States. And so he has spearheaded getting Google to partner and try to bring Chromebooks to Ghana. But he also, like this past summer, him and another student, George, that graduated from Morgan State, they did some technology work to update files or digitize files at the hospital that we served at for the pilot project for the maternal health in Kumasi. But he also taught students coding. And so that is a consistent project.
Wow.
Every year that we come or every trip that we come, we also have a project called the Kwame Kids Book Project. And so when we first came to Ghana in 2012, we had partners in Prom schools there ask us to help start a library. So not necessarily the physical space, but they shared that they needed books for kids to promote literacy. And so we started that partnership in 2012. So every trip, we have students collect and raise funds to bring, on the average, we bring about 300 to 400 books each trip. And so you think about, we've been coming since 2012 and coming multiple times a year. And so we bring Black center books and African center books, culturally responsive books and materials to students and school supplies and provide them to our partner schools. And so it's called Kwame Kids Project because, as Amina said, the importance of HBCUs, many don't know that Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana, went to Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, one of the oldest HBCUs. And so actually it was young people. It used to be called the Collaborative Library Literacy Project, but we partner with Phi Beta Sigma, the Alpha chapter at Howard University. And so they renamed the project to dedicate it to Kwame Nkrumah for his dedication as a leader to education for students. And Kwame Nkrumah was a Sigma. And so there are all kinds of neat things that we don't realize we have connectedness with. So I'll just highlight one more of our projects. We partner with the Most Deaf Foundation that was created by Franca Ando. She's an entrepreneur and an artist. And so the Most Deaf Foundation advocates for arts and career access for students that are in the deaf population in Ghana. So that's been a new partnership where we're working with that foundation and partnering to give kids more access. She actually started a summer camp for kids to get more exposure to the arts, culinary things, careers in the summer. So those are just some of the initiatives that we do that students lead. In addition to, of course, maternal health, as you talk about partnering, which Kobby, we're so humbled by. Ameenah is leading, not only is she leading bringing students to be able to do an exchange, but we're also trying to be responsive to some of the hospitals asking for different supplies and medical equipment to try to impact the rate of infant mortality and women's, risk during childbirth. So, yeah.
I think it's broad. And what we'll be doing is we'll be talking about 3GC projects every month, and updating people and also help to advertise so we can get to where it's supposed to get to. And I'll urge everybody that has any kind of help or support, you know, even in the smallest forms, will be needed to actually make this whole movement successful. And like I said, the shift and the bond fully on board to support this project, and let's just get it going.
We're excited about that.
Okay. Thank you, sisters, for joining me on the shift.
Thank you so much, Kobby. You are doing such phenomenal work, such big advocacy, and we really appreciate it and have much respect for you as a Pan-Africanist. And we really are excited to be on this endeavor with you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Kobby.
All right. Thank you.
It's time for a shift. This is the shift. Big change, big things in the phase. Yeah, big change, big things in the phase. Yeah.